Welcome to our greatest American art form.
The mixtape.
Now, for all of you kids who don't know,
Traditionally, a mixtape is a homemade compilation of media from multiple sources, recorded into a medium like a CD, a VHS, or cassette tape.
what we are presenting to you here is something we call Mixtape Therapy,
A collection of authentic conversations,
often wacky conversations,
inspired by what inspires us.
except instead of a cassette tape, we are bringing you a podcast
So just as you might share a mixtape, we share these conversations with you.
in the hopes that they spark a similar connection to the good old mixtape. Now,
Join us for a little mixtape
for some Mixtape Therapy.
And pull yourself up a chair. Let the fun begin. It's time to let down your hair. TV short and tight. Close friends have been invited. The wacky TV playhouse. There's a crazy
Scottie.
Yeah, what's up?
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
You know, just trucking along.
I've missed you, dude. I've missed our times. I'm so
Yeah,
glad we're back.
You know what's so weird is I think that for you it's different. For me, it's the same. You know?
Well, yeah, because I'm going through like 10,000 life phases all at once, and you've been doing your thing.
Well, not only that though, but like, you know, I'm used to us having like breaks and stuff because you would get busy with other things. Do you know what I mean? And so to you, I'm sure you feel like you're like, oh, like this is like, man, and I do feel that way too. I don't want to make it sound like I don't feel that way, but like I'm kind of used to us, like just kind of like we'll do like a bunch of episodes and we'll take like a month or something like that or whatever.
Yes.
So to me, it's just like, oh, we're just going through our cycle and like this is like totally fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, which it is totally fine. I think, first of all, as people may or may not know, like I've gone through so many life changes. I'm also not in Texas, so like I miss so many things. I miss my friends. I miss Texas. I miss Austin. I miss just everything about my old life. So this is like our meetings have been a tether to my old life.
great.
I'm glad I could. When I was living. Yeah, no, 100%. Like you are right. Like, and at this point, Scottie, I mean, we've developed a relationship. It's been years now.
Yeah.
Right? We've made a fucking friendship, dude. And that's not easy to do.
No.
Let's jump into it because I know we don't have like tons of time. And
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Mixtape Therapy, everyone. You know what Mixtape Therapy is. It's where Scottie and I talk about shit that we like. And today, Scottie brought Pee-wee Herman as himself. Oh, it's an HBO two-part documentary. Candidly, I only got to watch the first part, and it was long. I mean, it was amazing. I was riveted to my seat.
Mm-hmm.
So good. But before I babble on and on and on, I just want to... Pee-wee Herman, man. I don't even know what to say. So, Scottie, can you just tell me why you brought this? What made you bring this to the table? Obviously, I'm bursting with feelings and thoughts, but you're the one who brought it. So can you just tell us a little bit about what made you choose Pee-wee Herman's documentary?
Okay, so let me start off by saying, like, I'm not like some huge Pee-wee Herman fan. Like, I grew up with Pee-wee Herman as part of my nostalgia and childhood, but I'm not like, and I knew all the stories.
Weird. I always thought he was very weird. I mean, he is weird.
Yeah, he's a eccentric type of guy, but I think that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, we only know like it's only worse now, but you know, back then, like, you know, he gets caught up in this scandal and like it pretty much like fried his career. Right.
So you're going to have to educate me, right? Because I'm a pop culture dodo. Sometimes I'm also a little bit young for the Pee-wee Herman generation. Like I'm, you know, but can you tell me what the scandal was?
So the scandal is that he allegedly got caught masturbating in an adult theater.
That's it? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it seems crazy now because like of all the things that have gone on in like our world. But like at that time, you have to remember like one, like, so this is in the probably late 80s, early 90s.
Okay, it wasn't like 2008 or something. It wasn't.
No,
even
no, no, no.
last
This is like this is
okay.
a long time ago.
Okay, thank you. Keep going.
And he was kind of like really. I mean, he was at the. I won't say he was at the height, but I mean, he was Pee-wee Herman, like
A child star, kind of like a
well,
child.
a child a representation for children in a children's show, even though the whole thing had started as adult comedy, it transitioned
as
into
this like psychedelic weird AF. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
no. Anyways, yeah, no. Anyways, and so I'm not some huge big Pee-wee Herman fan,
Sure.
but I'm always very interested, especially when someone does something as monumental as creates a character like Pee-wee. How does that all go about, and what do they do? And so the reason why I brought this to the table,
Fascinating, man.
fascinating.
Fucking fascinating.
The reason why I brought it to the table was because, from the very, very start, like basically his parents told him, not that he could be anything that he wanted, but like you could do anything you want, but you're gonna have to like put in work. And this is, this isn't gonna be, if you want to be an actor, it's not gonna be easy. But they were supportive, right? And so one, as a parent, I think about like how I want to be as a parent to my kids.
Yes.
But then the other thing I was thinking about, like, just like, how do we show up for other people? Like, and in a weird way, Pee-wee, the character, always showed up for everybody else.
Yes, Pee-wee, the character was so kind-hearted, right?
Right. But no one showed up for Paul Reubens.
Paul Reubens. And did Paul Reubens show up for other people? Because Paul Reubens seemed to be also pretty narcissistic and selfish. As any actor, as any massive star, kind of has to be. I mean, we'll get into that, Scottie, because I have opinions as a therapist, right? But you got to have. It can only be described as narcissism to reach that level of fame and success and that level of ruthlessness in your creative decision-making process, which is where, of course, I want to complicate this idea of pathological narcissism with because everything exists on a spectrum, right? But I would imagine Paul Reubens, the person, made a lot of enemies and was a real asshole, as of course any 28-year-old who's reaching meteoric success is going to be a fucking asshole. But I don't know. I don't know.
They kind of talk about a little bit in the documentary that, that he was at times like really difficult to work with and like had a way that he wanted to go about stuff. But as someone that creates a podcast on the side, I totally understand that when you're trying to create something that's authentically you and stuff that like people are going to have opinions about that, but you have to stick to your guns about like what you want and what you want to do. And that's a lot about like how you show up as a person as well, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like how you go about your business. Like people shouldn't really be concerned about how the sausage is made. They should just be happy there's sausage, right? And so a lot of people are going to have opinions about how you go and show up and stuff like that. And sometimes you have to really stick to who you are as a person to show up how you want to show up, even if they have opinions about it. And so I kind of, when creating art, it's like that. But the whole thing, like life is art and art is life.
Yes.
Right. It's also about like how we create that in our relationships between people as well. And I, at times, get shat on for holding boundaries around things that someone might think that's totally ridiculous. Like that's totally ridiculous. But like if I'm not really hurting me or anybody else and I have like a reason or opinion why I want something, I can be pretty bullish on it.
Yes.
Especially if it's not impacting you or anybody else. So like, what's the difference? It doesn't matter. It's just what my preference is. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of those things, especially in art, are things that you have to fight for because people have opinions and people have ideas and people like things. And so to sum this all up, why did I bring this to the table? It's because it touched me in a way of like being a parent. It touched me in a way of like being a human. it touched me in a way of my creative part of the things I want to do on the side that like he did that like you can't even do anymore. Like you can't create a character with anonymity. Like, you know what I mean? Like people will figure out who you are. Like you can't just like, you know, when he did the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure on the credit screen, it said Pee-wee as himself. It didn't say Paul Reubens as Pee-wee.
Yeah, Paul Reubens wasn't until it was written by Paul Reubens, so the part I left off on is he's like, he created a monster, as we all do, right? By the way, when I say things like he's an asshole or blah, 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 I am not condemning. I'm an asshole. Scottie can be an asshole. Like, we're all assholes, right? We can all be really difficult. Every human is difficult, right? And I almost say it lovingly. You can see I have a huge smile on my face as I said he's kind of an asshole, right? Because yeah. And I think you have to be, especially as a young, talented person, which I have been, Scottie has been. We might not be as young as we once were, but as a talented person who puts themselves out there, people will try to dominate you with their opinions. Can you vouch for that?
Yes, but like I want to take it just a little bit different direction that I think we'll get the same point.
Please.
Hannah, have you ever like not done something because you didn't want to be a dick or an asshole?
Yeah.
You're like, if I do that, I'm going to be a dick. If I say I don't want to go to that party, they're going to think I'm an asshole.
So many times. And
okay.
It always bites me in the ass.
So
bites me in the ass.
Creating art requires setting boundaries.
Being an asshole.
Right. Being an asshole. Living life requires setting boundaries and being an asshole sometimes. And the asshole is the eye of the beholder, really, to be honest. Because a lot of times when I'm setting boundaries, I'm pretty sure people think I'm an asshole, but I don't. And there's a difference between like, I know when I'm being a jerk or an asshole to somebody because there's a lot of intentions around it. I know that I'm upset and angry. I know that I'm not thinking of the best parts of that person. I'm not being my best self. But when I'm setting a boundary, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like this is something I need to set to make myself complete and whole to make sure that nothing happens to me. Right. Yeah. And when I set boundaries around art like that, it's to protect my art around like, hey, this is important to me. I understand you have opinions, but this is mine.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So they're linked is what I'm saying. They're very similar.
Well, and I remember this early in our friendship. Well, and Scottie, and I hope we can talk about this lovingly, because I think both you and I kind of like seek each other's opinion, but we're also like, we don't want each other's opinion on everything. Mm-hmm. Right? You ask my opinion on some things, but other things you don't want my opinion on, right? And vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. And as friends, it's inevitable that you're going to sometimes offer an unsolicited opinion with the purest of intention, and you're going to get a little resistance. Now, Scottie, you and I have been so fortunate to have like our moments of tension have been small and very manageable.
I don't like in the real of it. I haven't even felt it.
No, dude, you haven't.
Like, I mean, like, you know what I mean?
A lot of it, and I think it's because, but then I would bring it to you, and then I realized within the second that I brought it to you, we were cool.
Yeah.
And I think now that we have this trust, which, by the way, I think any friendship takes some moments of a person, myself, with a lot of trouble expressing when her feelings have been hurt. It's really hard for me to do that. So the one time that I did that with you, our friendship became like set in stone. Sorry. You at that point, then you're like, oh, you can't. I mean, I'm not saying you can't lose me as a friend. Who knows? You might do something terrible, right? Or circumstance might prevent us from being friends. But the minute I brought my feelings to you, you listened, and then we had a moment where you showed that you weren't going anywhere, even though my feelings got hurt. Like friendship made. That's sort of off topic, maybe, but it's never off topic.
I don't think so.
It's never off topic, right? And because as Scottie, as you pointed out, like you didn't know what remember I talked about in the beginning, I didn't know what your intentions were with me with making the podcast. And that made me be weird. And then I think there were moments, Scottie, where you said something similar, not that you didn't know what my intentions were with the podcast, but that I was hot and cold. And I was hot and cold, and we kind of know the reason for that. Well, we know one reason for it, right? I was in a difficult relationship, for sure. But you could also, I don't want to put the fault on that one relationship because that would be ridiculous and it's not taking accountability for who I am as a person, which is that I have a really hard time expressing my needs and my boundaries. And luckily, I met you, Scottie, who's someone who has done so much work around this, that you were such a safe person for me to be figuring that out with. And a lot of it didn't need to be said. To those listening, this is rare. Well, maybe I don't want to say rare. It's been rare for me to meet someone who intuitively kind of is gracious with my boundaries and is so intuitive that I don't need to be pushy about my boundaries with them because they just have a felt sense of their own boundaries. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, that makes, I respect, no matter how ridiculous someone's boundary feels, I respect it because I want someone to respect mine.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Now,
yes.
Now, okay, now let me say, if you were to say something like super crazy, like, I mean, I don't just ridiculous, or
I'm going to start murdering people and you're going to help me.
Yeah. Or your boundary is contingent on me doing something. Like I need to do something to make that's not a boundary. Right. And so when you set boundaries around things, like it's not really matter to me that you need X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. As long as you're not asking me to do something and you're not hurting somebody else in the process.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so, something that people say to me often is like, oh, like, I like talking to you because you're not judgmental. And I'm like, golly, how shitty are these other people that are just constantly judging these people? Like, what is their, why are they doing that? But that is a boundary.
Okay.
That's a boundary. Me not judging other people externally, I might have thoughts in my head internally, but me not judging, it's like I'm not judging, I'm giving respect to the boundary that you're setting for what you want, right?
Yeah. Yes. Ooh, this is something I'm really working on too, Scottie, is I have the capacity to pathologize anyone I get into a room with because I have the know-how, I'm going to sound like a dick, I have the intellect, I have the training, and I have the chutzpah to diagnose any MF who comes into the room with me.
That's right.
I don't want to do that.
No.
It's not fun for me. It's not fun for them. It's an abuse of power. Getting back to Pee-wee for a second, if we can. I do actually want to tie this back because Pee-wee, I feel like Pee-wee. I'm sure you really resonate with him, right? In certain ways. I resonate with Pee-wee in certain ways too. I'll tell you how I resonate with Pee-wee. The ability to control a room like he controls a room. Remember they said this was like the most far out part of the first episode of the doc where someone says, it's some director or an agent. He goes, I haven't seen someone control a room like that since Adolf Hitler.
Right.
Ha ha, funny? Not even funny though, because what we're talking about is charisma and power.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm putting myself out there and I'm going to risk sounding like an asshole. I have the capacity to do that. I think a lot of people do. I don't think a lot of people do.
I think there are people that do, but I do think there are a lot of people that haven't started or don't try. I think we all have the potential to, but there's a lot of people that just like, I'm not going to bother with it.
Yes. Now, there's a good way to control a room. As a couples therapist, if a couple is fighting like cats and dogs in front of you, you better believe I want to show up and I want to be, hey, listen, right? Everyone listen. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Right? Seriously. Like a kindergarten teacher controls a room. A couples therapist controls a room. There's so many wonderful ways to control a room. But you are exerting power over other people. And if you are exerting power over other people, Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And I have abused that power.
Me too. Me too.
And I think it's hard not to. I don't know many people other than Jesus Christ, and I say this not tongue in cheek, I say this genuinely, who can dominate a space without abusing power. Because we're human beings and we're incredibly fallible. So I got the chills. I respect what Pee-wee Herman's doing because that takes skill, right? And the narcissist in me is like, whew, yeah, I like that, right? It's inspiring. The adult part of me, the part of me that's trying to mature and be a better person all the time is like, ooh, that's fire. And I don't mean it like the kids say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's fire. Fire is a great thing. It can burn your house down.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Of course.
Yeah. There's a really great book. I don't know if we've ever talked about it before, but the book's called The 48 Laws of Power. Have we talked about that?
I need to finish it.
Okay. But anyways.
So good.
Maybe we'll do another mixtape therapy on that.
For sure. I have to read the whole thing, but yeah.
Point of the book is there's just these like universal laws of power and struggle and the way that we interact with people, right? And in those moments, you have a choice. You have a choice to do something good with it, or you have a choice to do something bad with it.
Yes. Yes.
And I think I want to believe that most of Paul Reubens or Pee-wee's choices were taking his power and trying to use it for good, like trying to create something great, have great relationships, make great products, do the best he can, da, da, da. I don't think he was out there, because he says in the documentary that I'm pretty a jerk. Like I want things my way. Like I'm very aware of that. And I think, he was talking at one point and he goes, I forgot how he said it but he said, he goes, let me think about hang on one second. He was talking about he said something very passive aggressive or narcissistic, right?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Am I?"
Yeah.
He goes, "I'm not, but maybe I am. But but I wouldn't do that. But would I?" Like that.
That part was I loved that.
Yes.
I loved it and it creeped me out because it's right. Anytime we get creeped out, I think we're being reminded of some darkness in ourselves. So I'm going to complicate it. Yeah, I mean, he had a children's show. There's so much I don't mean purity like purity culture, but it's pure. It's a pure desire, right? To tell a beautiful story and entertain children is such a beautiful thing. Now, as a kid who was raised on Tim Burton, I can tell you it is weird to have a child's show be pushing the agenda of an adult. Like Tim Burton is creepy and it was geared towards children, but it's very creepy. That's a whole other conversation. We got to talk about Tim Burton another time, but Tim Burton came up, which The Nightmare Before Christmas, I was raised on The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I remember as a kid being like, yeah, this is not for me. This is about this man's vision. This is an adult vision. And you can tell because there's sexual themes, there's gross themes, it's creepy, it's weird, but it's marketed at children. And we can talk about that another time. I have some pretty strong thoughts actually about that. Because I don't think that Tim Burton is a children's filmmaker, and yet it was marketed towards children, and I don't like that. Again, strong unsolicited opinion. I know other people feel very differently. I like Tim Burton, by the way. I mean, I like it. It's part of my cultural ethos now. Like right, I was raised with Tim Burton, so. But you do have to be careful. It's like, what is an adult man pushing his agenda onto young minds?
Sure.
And okay, so real quick, I know, because I need to make my other point, which was that, yes, there's real purity in what Pee-wee was doing, and again, not purity culture, but pure intention. And what I saw as a therapist and as a human is I see a very insecure young man dominating, topping, controlling because he doesn't feel worthy and desirable in his own right. And so it's subtle, but it would be little things like interrupting people. And I know that's his shtick. I find it very unattractive and very annoying. Like that is an icky quality in a person. Now, I know some people probably love it.
So can I jump in real quick?
Please.
I have a girlfriend that she does this thing where I'll go, hey, can you hand me that eyeglass case? And she'll go like this, and she'll like hand it to, pull it away right before I grab it, right? And she knows it bothers the shit out of me.
I hate that. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I love Erin. I hate that.
No. But I realize this is what I realize, and this is what I want to say about Paul Reubens.
Go.
Once I don't give a shit about her doing that, like she'll do it and she'll do it once, and I just hold my hand like this. I don't even move. Like after that, I'm just like, are you going to put it in my hand or not? Because one, she knows that she knows it gets to me, so that's part of the reason. That's probably the passive aggressive narcissistic reason why she does it.
Yes.
She also understands on some level it doesn't matter. She also understands that every once in a while I'll kind of giggle about it, like give me the fucking glasses, like you know what I mean. And I think, at least I'm going to speak for me and what I feel when Paul Reubens would interrupt and do all that shticky stuff, is the empath in me is like, you don't do that. Don't do that to people. What are you doing? Don't do that. But really it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Right?
Sure.
Now, hang on. Let me sum this up.
I'm letting you.
I think Paul Reubens knows all of that. He knows what it's like to be a narcissist. He knows what it's like not to be a narcissist. He knows what it takes, the narcissistic quality it takes to push something that hard. In that moment,
Yes.
It felt like the most genuine moment of the whole movie, because he was telling you, I know what my powers are. Don't make me use them. Don't make me use them. Right? You know what I mean?
Also, we got to talk about the fact that, and we have to name the fact that he's dying.
Yeah, he dies. He dies during the filming of the documentary. He dies during the filming. Yeah. So he was. I'm sure he's kind of like he was like, fuck it. Like I mean, like I got nothing to lose here.
I'm gonna be the
like,
most myself. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think, throughout the documentary, he has all these really, really close friends. He has this underground of like just close friends. I don't think you have close friends if you're that kind of, like, how am I with Erin and still love her if she does that to me? Because I understand her and I know her, you know what I mean? And I think he understood his power, and he was showing you, was like, like I could do this thing if I wanted to, but like, I like you too much. You know what I mean? I want to be here. And I think there's a genuineness to that, to like, when the 48 laws of the 48 laws of power, right? You go, I could do something really bad or I could do something really good. It's not that I don't know, and it's not like I couldn't. I'm just going to try to make the best choices. And I'm sure, hopefully, the majority of the time he made really great choices, but sometimes, like a human,
yes,
he was an asshole. He was passive aggressive. He pushed it too far. He made somebody too mad, because we're just all human,
Of course. By the way, thank you, Scottie. Thank you. And I'm so glad.
Was that kind of right? Was that
No,
on?
I love everything that you're saying. I love everything that you're saying. And of course, and you're softening me, right? I'm to own where I'm coming from. I'm in a place right now where I'm not actually dating right now, but I'm thinking really long and hard about the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. Ooh, it's vulnerable. And I'm really drawn to people with a lot of charisma. You got to be careful with that, though. So that's what I'm reminding myself of. So I get triggered by stuff like that because I like people that are larger than life, because I'm larger than life. I like an equal. I need an equal, right? I do. And it's when you're playing with that big of a personality, and I am a really big personality, it's really hard to not, it's impossible to not get hurt. You will get hurt. It's about how do you deal with it when you do get hurt. Now, I also know, and Scottie, thank you for naming that, because there's a level of intimacy and trust where, yeah, someone can do that annoying ass thing and you trust that they love you, right? So even when, first of all, by the way, you can do the glasses thing, and if you're reading the room, that can be hilarious.
Sure.
Right? If you and Aaron are like flirting and you're laughing, that could make you pee your pants laughing. Timed differently, it'd make you want to punch a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Right?
No, 100%.
Right? And of course, the only way to know what that line is to play with it.
Yeah.
And get it wrong, right?
and talk about it and
talk
communicate
about
it.
Right. I, by the way, this is where like people, and this is where a lot of therapists understandably don't take risks, but I take a lot of risks as a therapist because I can't not play with fire, right? It's just like how I'm built. The way that I became the best therapist is by not going far enough in pushing people, and that feels like shit, and pushing people too hard, too far.
Yeah, it's a talent. It's a
and
touch.
Weirdly, okay, this is where I'm going to sound like a narcissist. That feels better than not pushing hard enough.
No. That's right. You're exactly right.
Okay? Because if I push too far, first of all, I know. Either they tell me, gorgeous. Usually they don't, because it's hard for people to do that. So I know, I intuit, I say, hey, I felt weird about what I said yesterday. Can we talk, or last week? How did that feel for you? And maybe sometimes they're like, oh, honestly, that didn't bother me, right? Or they'll be like, oh, no, it did bother me, and then I saw what you were saying. Or every once in a blue moon, I get someone who says, yeah, that made me uncomfortable. And I say, I'm really sorry. I went over the line. Thank you for being honest with me. And then two things can happen. That therapist-client relationship becomes the strongest it's ever been, which has happened. Those are like my ride or die clients. Or they decide that I'm not for me, and that is, I'm not for me. I'm not for them. I hope I'm for me. If I'm not for me, who is for me? We're not a good fit. In which case, is that hard for me as a therapist who's incredibly sensitive? Yes. But the better I get at my job, the more I realize that is equally as beneficial an outcome, that they were able to stand up to someone and realize that I'm not a good fit for what they need. And then they go their own way, which is them making their own choice, which is beautiful. I never want to be dominating or exerting my control over people without their consent. So then we both go, I lose a client who's probably I'm not going to be able to help because they don't jive with my sauce, and my sauce is spicy, right? So like, if you don't like spice, you're not going to like me. That's what I found out. So then it benefits me because I have a caseload of clients that are like right on my level, and like not to flex, they make me grow as much as I make them grow, and it's like this copacetic, amazing experience. And hopefully that other person who decides I'm not for them feels empowered to say, that Hannah, not for me. And then they go and find someone who is for them. It's like dating, right? I mean, it's a cliche, but it's true. It is like dating, right? You're like, yeah, of course, if you're going to stick around with someone who's not a fit, then you're missing out on someone who is.
Yeah. Okay. This is all I want to say about your whole statement. You described me and Aaron's relationship in a nutshell. Like,
Can you
know
say
what I mean?
a little bit more about that?
Can I say more?
Please.
That what you're describing is the corner of communication and compromise. That's where you're at. You're right on the corner of compromise, and that's what I do with Aaron. We have difficult conversations so that we don't have to have fights later. Yes. We talk about difficult subjects and try to work through them, and then work through it with our therapist so that we don't fight about it later, because I don't have time for it. You know what I mean? And so you do that everywhere. I mean, it's setting boundaries with Aaron. It's listening. It's everything that you do with everyone inside of a job, inside of a creative project. And it's a relationship with something other than yourself.
Thank you. And what's hard, and this is right where I'm coming from, because I just got out of this relationship that was very flawed, had many, many, many positive things about it, dearly loved this person, still love this person, right? Very good boundaries about not communicating with them, but have all the love in the world and really truly want this person to find everything that they're.
You want them to be happy.
So badly. Too badly. I need to let go.
You should want that for other people, no matter what you want.
I do though, right?
It's
who I am. I love people so much that once the beef is gone, I just want them to have everything that their heart desires.
That's right.
Truly. Call me crazy, right? But what happens is, as I started to become a really good therapist, it became very clear that how I was showing up in my relationship was not authentic, because I was cowering in the face of my relationship as I was stepping up into this really empowered, authentic version of myself in the therapy room. And then I would come home and I turned into like a 5-year-old girl. And I didn't have, I didn't have the guts. The relationship didn't have the safety for me to be who I needed to be at home. So this is what's hard, is when you get really, you get really good at becoming the best version of yourself. This is so, I'm realizing how much this is going to sound like a cliche, but cliches are real. When you become the best version of yourself, everything that's not working for you becomes glaringly fucking obvious. And that sucks. Scottie, I was friend broke up with over text.
Man.
Recently. It was a new friend, so, and they didn't break up with me, but they said something that made me realize I can't be friends with them, because they were basically saying, like, I'm not about you, you know? And that really sucked, because I love being friends with people who are super different from me. I want people who have different religions. I want people who have different opinions, different politics even.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not a saint. It's hard for me to be friends with people with super different opinions than me, right? I'm a human, but me and this person clearly had a lot in common and clearly had a lot not in common. But the things that I didn't have in common with her are the things I liked best about myself. And those were the very things that she didn't like.
Ooh. Is this our next episode? Or are we going to talk about this on the next episode?
I think we need to.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Because we've talked to Scottie, you've been talking about this, but you've been talking about it in your Scottie code, in your secret Scottie code for a really long time. And I've kind of understood what you were saying, but now I think I deeply understand what you're saying. The dickhead version is I love myself and this person doesn't yet. And I know that's a journey. And so I'm going to just keep triggering them to high heaven. Mm-hmm. That's not what they said, though. They didn't say, hey, you're happy and I'm not, so you trigger me. Of course, they didn't say that. They say your opinions, your politics, your spirituality is unsafe to me.
It sounds like we're going to have a humdinger of an episode coming up.
Scottie, I think we are, because I need your help.
Okay, well,
I need your help, because this is where I'm going to get humble, which is, I love when I have the opportunity to be humbled, because I know that you have experience with this and you've dealt with this, and I've heard you talking about this, and it hurts when someone rejects you based on something that you like about yourself.
100%.
I've been rejected based on things that I don't like about myself, and that sucks.
But this,
well, this just, it doesn't hurt me personally as bad, but it makes me feel sad about the state of the world. And it makes me feel very lonely when I realize that, and this is going to sound so high and mighty, but I'm talking to Scottie. and because Scottie's going to understand what I say, when it hurts so bad when people don't know how to meet you at the level of self-love and love of others and non-judgment that you are offering.
That's right.
And well, it sounds like I'm like, sucks that you can't like love as hard and be as smart and be as cool as me. And yeah, there's a part of me that of course feels that way. It's like, sorry, you hate yourself and I don't, right? That's the part of me that's wounded. The part of me that's like a full-blown adult is just like, man, this sucks that like, it's lonely to love yourself. It's lonely to have good boundaries. It's lonely to have spent years in therapy. It's lonely to have read a fuck ton of books and to actually fucking like yourself. Like, it's lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish it weren't, because it's really cool. Like,
Well,
I think there's, go.
Okay, I want to wrap it up with this.
Yes.
One,
because I'm being a baby.
No, one, I appreciate you sharing all that so much, right?
Being a baby, I know.
Two, if you are listening to this right now, you got to show up for our next episodes because it sounds like it's going to be a really hot mess, right? And three, I just want to confirm that, yes, when you're trying to be the best version of yourself, there's a lot of this world that's going to want to take those things away until you're not doing the right thing or whatever. But I keep telling myself, if I can just convert one more person, if I can just convert one more person, if I can just convert one more person, like that's the way I look at it. Like, can I just get somebody to just, understand the universe and just be here and not have to do all the things. If I do one more, then I'm winning. You know what I mean?
By the way, I'm back on the foam rolling shit. I'm back on my foam rolling.
Yeah.
I'm back on my foam rolling.
Next episode, text messages and foam rolling. If you have something that's mixtape therapy for you, make sure you let us know. Hannah, we'll see you next time.
Very well.
Bye, everybody.